We'll sit in your ear. You can help them with the ear. Thank you,
Please rise and face the center.
paramita, and thus the mind is without hindrance, there is no fear, far beyond all inverted views, one realizes nirvana, all Buddhas of past, present, and future rely on prajna paramita, and thereby attain unsurpassed, complete, perfect enlightenment. Therefore know the prajna paramita as the great miraculous mantra, the great bright mantra, the supreme mantra, the incomparable mantra, which removes all suffering and is true, not false. Therefore we proclaim the prajna paramita mantra, the mantra that says gate, gate, para, gate, parasamgate, bodhisattva. Having chanted the heart of great perfect wisdom sutra, we reverently offer the merit to the great benefactor and founder of the doctrine, the original teacher, Shakyamuni Buddha, to the countless Buddhas and Bodhisattvas that permeate the myriad worlds, to the eternal three jewels in the 10 directions, and to all teachers of the true Dharma who transmitted the flame, that we may repay their compassionate blessings. We further offer this merit to all the Dharma protecting devas, to the Dharma protecting saints, to the air spirit of this place, to the temple protecting spirits. What we pray for is flourishing of the true Dharma, peace in the land, harmony among all nations, tranquility within the Sangha, wisdom and prosperity for countless supporters, continual turning of the true wheels. May we, with all beings, realize the Buddha way. Jaya Chi Moko Jaya Chi Toda representation of the great compassionate heart Durrani to all beings in the three worlds and six realms, and especially to Michael Lucky Smith, Mike Leonhardt, Claire Beekman, Susan Sandberg, Brad Sweek, and to all those who have died in natural and human-made disasters, including acts of terrorism, violence, political persecution, and war. May they be serene through the transition we call death. We also dedicate this merit to Gary Spoon, Harry Buckfield, MJC, Danielle, Cindy, Jared Bates, Jamie Lee, Rachel, Teresa Stahl, Katie, Mother Earth. May the heart of compassion illuminate their lives. We pray that all beings may prosper and all misfortunes cease. Dharma kids may exit to the Jesus Hall or the library. Sutra opening for
Let's take a moment and just greet the folks sitting around you. Say hello. Good morning.
Good morning. Sorry I got so fast. Oh, no, it's fine. I'm just going to respond. I know. It's okay. I'm just going to follow you because at least we'll do it together. We'll stay together. Oh, you have notes? I didn't bring any notes. I just wrote down a couple of things. Because I'm just like, whatever. I'm going to follow you.
Nice to meet you.
So, we have somewhat of an unusual program for you this morning. At least I can't really recall the last time we had kind of like a panel discussion format for a Sunday morning. But our two very esteemed Koji, Jikie, and Anyu have agreed to receive questions today, specifically about the life of a Koji. And for those of you who aren't familiar, for some context, in traditional temple communities, Koji were often very honored individuals, great benefactors of temple communities through the sort of giving of their lives and resources and time, and were recognized by the community with this title, Koji. Here at Buddha Eye Temple, Koji also take on a really significant teaching role. And so both Anyu and Jikie have gone through a very extensive period of training under the guidance of the Abbot, Ejo McMullen, and are officially recognized as teachers in our community. So thank you so much for receiving our questions. What we'll do today is I've prepared just a few questions specifically about Koji, about training and the life of a Koji. And then we'll open it up to the rest of the community. I think your questions could be about Koji as a training path or as a path in a practitioner's life, but I think it could also be more generally about questions in the Dharma or in practice, like a normal question and response sort of Sunday morning. So, I mean, I guess I'll begin, and if you would both mind answering these questions, I'm curious if you would tell us a little bit about your path and what inspired you potentially to seek this path of a Koji.
Oh, well, for one thing, I don't remember exactly when I did this. So, I mean, what I can say is that in 2010, I became a disciple. And it seems like things just kind of went from there. And I remember specifically asking Hojo-san to be a disciple, and at that time I was practicing with Chosen and Hogan Bays in Portland area, Claskenai. And I told them, I want to be a follower of this teacher in Eugene, partly because I live here, but also because I was very inspired by him. So it started there, and I feel like, this is probably not a great answer, but I feel like it kind of unfolded from there. Because what I remember, and this doesn't sound very formal, and maybe it was just the way things were, maybe it'd be different for Jikie, but what I remember is admiring the kesa like this that Hojo-san was wearing. It wasn't blue, but it was but it was a style. And he said, well, would you like to make one? And I'm like, sure. So that's what I remember. And maybe my memory is not giving me the right details anymore. I mean, it's been several years ago. I wish Hogan were here because he and I did it at the same time. But I don't know. But also, this is my life here. You said the Koji gives significant time. I feel like I retired from my job as a hospital chaplain in July, and I feel like I've kind of moved in here. Mm-hmm. So, but it's been wonderful, and I'm grateful for the opportunity, and I want to continue to serve this community in every way I can.
I think part of the reason that Hojo-san asked whatever of us Koji were available to do this is that we're going to have really different answers to the questions. Because that's kind of part of the nature of the Koji path as a lay path, not a priest path, right? It's not, I mean, there is obviously a structure to training that we all went through, but also lay people's lives can kind of look like anything, right? And that's part of the value of having lay teachers. And so, like, how we got to this place is that in some way this practice had just become more and more central to our lives. And I didn't really, in a sense, choose the Koji path because it's been developing kind of organically, and you guys did it first, but it was still like I wouldn't have known what it was to choose it exactly. And at one point, Hojo-san said, when you have space in your life, I'd like you to train to teach. And I said, okay. And then when there was space, I asked what would that look like, and we started doing this. So yeah, that's basically the answer.
But it's beautiful in a way, this sort of like, we talk often about the rain of the Dharma falling on all the plants evenly, regardless if you're a cactus or if you are a lily. And like, not that either of you are cactus or lily. Those are just the two that entered my mind. But that we sort of receive the Dharma as we show up in our own lives. And so the answers definitely will be very different. But I'm curious if you could talk a little bit about what was involved in the Koji training. Like if you can remember back to day one, what was involved.
Well, I mean, maybe this is just the way my life is, but what I remember most vividly is sewing this, because I didn't cut it out, but I did all the stitching myself. And what I can remember is leading up to the ceremony, I was very focused on getting this finished. I didn't get it finished. So there was a Saturday where I was here all day long. And Hojo-san was stitching on one end and I was stitching on the other. But I think, again, it kind of unfolded organically. I mean, I was still working full time, so there wasn't, I couldn't put a whole lot of energy into teaching, but I really did the best I could. I took opportunities to teach, and I think that was kind of the crux of the conversation between Hojo-san and I. I would say, well, what do you want me to do? And he'd say, I want you to teach more. And so I just kept finding opportunities to do that, and I'm still looking for opportunities to do that. So I think that's been the path, has just been constantly checking in with him, kind of finding that way between what is it I want to do, what can I offer, and what is it that I should do, which is probably nothing, but you know what I mean, not the shoulding thing, but where is my place here? It's kind of, that was been kind of my unfolding, is where do I fit here, and what is my contribution to the Dharma?
I think the last part of what you said there is so important, and I kind of, when I was thinking about the questions you were going to ask us for me, that's the like crux of the next one, so we'll get there. But we started with basically ordination, right? We were sewing the kesa and getting ready for ordination and working with Hojo-san, and then starting to teach, and that started with like facilitating circles and doing more intro to zazen and like smaller and more casual things, and working with Hojo-san one-on-one to kind of develop some skills and some confidence there, and then moving into different kinds of classes, and then after ordaining as Koji, I think Hojo-san talked a little bit at the Shuso installation that Jakuin's doing, as Shuso is doing several roles all at once, that we did 1 year at a time. So they were broken up into 3 parts. So we were head of hall the first year, which is essentially being responsible for making sure that services and things go according to plan. If we were novice priests and living at the temple, that would be like all services all the time. Since we were not, it was more less intense than that. And then the next year, head of assembly, which is kind of more like organizational and holding kind of the group together for various things during practice periods. And then head of student when we started giving Dharma talks on Sundays and doing more teaching of classes, being retreat leader at some sessions, and then culminating with Dharma combat, which is if you've not ever been to one, is a very formal, kind of intense question and answer period on a small piece of text that the head student has chosen and been teaching on for the whole practice term. And then after we did that Dharma combat, then we started doing practice discussion and kind of more widely authorized to teach in the temple.
And you also started becoming doshi, which
is
and
being doshi, yeah. So which is what that part we did at the beginning, what I did at the beginning today when we're just kind of being like the celebrant as when we're doing chanting rituals, and we practice doing that in the morning, and
Yeah, I just trained to do morning doji. I've been doing it the last 2 weeks while Hojo-san's been away. So, yeah. So,
I mean, it's a lot.
It is a lot.
It's a lot of sort of visible things, and I think one of the when you're talking about sewing the robe and how important that was, it is like one of the ways in which you're sort of recognized in the community as having this sort of visible commitment to the practice of everyone at the temple. And, but there's a lot, I'm sure, which is invisible.
Yeah.
And I'm very curious that often we see these ceremonies or these initiations, and we see sort of someone pass through a certain gate, and it sort of maybe for us ends there as people viewing that ceremony, but it really seems like an ongoing kind of practice to hold this position, to hold this robe in that way. And I'm curious if you would talk a little bit about how this path as a Koji has maybe aided or how it has transformed your spiritual life and your path, though there are many practical, technical, physical things you're doing. I'm curious if you could talk more about behind the curtain, so to speak, behind the robe, so to speak, what is happening in that way.
Why don't you go first this time?
Okay. So, I mean, the biggest thing for me, I think, is exactly what you said at the end of that last question. It's been a real, how do I want to show up for this community? It's obviously was, this community and this path have been important parts of my life before I started this, or I wouldn't have started it. But how do I want to take responsibility for, the Dharma showing up in the world, and for this tradition showing up in the world, and what is my role? It's definitely pushed me to a lot more formal study and learning more things, because I need to be able to answer when people ask. I need to be able to come up here and talk about something, right? It's not that I'm going to know everything about it, but I have to be able to respond. And really important for me is pushing me to learn to articulate my path and my understanding. We come here to meet, and we come to Zazen to meet things that are really hard to express in words. And so having to learn to articulate that in some way, however provisional it feels, has really sharpened my practice.
I could just say what she said, but similar. I think, especially since I retired, I just feel like this is where I need to be, and I feel like during the last 3 months or so, I'm almost not really starting over, but I'm really exploring what does it mean to do this, because I committed to being here every morning. That's been a big change for me, and I've been really glad that I've done it. I'm actually getting used to getting up at 4 o'clock. I wake up now at 3:40 naturally. I'm like, okay, so, which is great. It's just so at 3:40, 5:40, whatever. It doesn't really matter that much. But, and I think a real important piece for me, because maybe I don't need to say because, but is really being able to articulate clearly, because I feel like I can't always do that because things are hard to say in words. And so I feel like part of it is how do I encourage people to really explore for themselves? I don't have the answers. I can give something, but I don't have the answers per se. And I know that we're a culture that wants answers. We want the definite. We want to know if it's this or if it's that. And the Dharma doesn't really work that way. And and I was like that too, but it's just, we have to be open. I feel like in kind of in a basic sense, we want to be open to a mystery about it all and allow it to unfold for us. So I'm hoping that I can lead people in that direction, I guess, is one way of looking at it.
I think it's so meaningful how you both sort of describe, maybe even after decades and decades of practice, still this question of what is my path?
Yeah.
And how that doesn't go away. In
no,
fact, it
it does
becomes
not.
like
It just
the
gets bigger.
It becomes bigger. It becomes a lot bigger. Yes, it does. It really does. It becomes a lot bigger.
beautiful. Maybe now's a good time to open the questions up to the assembly. And like I said before, there could be questions about Koji path, the Koji training path, or maybe more generally, sort of what is coming up for you as you hear these two teachers in our community talk about their life in practice. You can choose, and it could be a question for both of them, or one or the
either
other.
or both.
Could I just ask for maybe a baseline? What is a Koji, and how is it unique to this community? Because I imagine there are people here that don't know. Just a baseline.
Yeah, that's actually in some ways a little challenging because a formal structure of what it is exactly what is and is not a Koji path is still evolving a little bit, I think. Mm-hmm. It is, so there's a priest path and there's a Koji path at this temple, right? And that both of those are a teaching path, and that we as Koji have some responsibility for the ritual life of this temple, but there's also very different roles. And one way I've kind of come to think about it is that and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. That the tradition has a very specific shape in the world that's really important, that allows people, it's kind of like a lighthouse, right? That allows people to find, who are seeking the Dharma, to find it and to find a gateway into the way. But being a person of the way doesn't mean taking on that whole shape with your life. But somebody has to take it on and maintain it. And priests sign up to do that and to transmit it from generation to generation. And Koji, as a layperson, although I definitely am taking on a responsibility for caring for the Dharma and how it shows up in this community, it's more my responsibility to show a way that a lay life can unfold like that. And we have many of us with different lives because anybody's life has the capacity to show up in the Dharma. It doesn't have to look a specific way.
Right.
That's my best answer right now.
I think that works. I mean, I think it is important to say, it doesn't have to look a specific way, and that kind of points back to the skillful means teachings. What speaks to different people, and how can different people help guide everyone along that path.
Are there formal steps like that take place before that? Some kind of a formal process to get to that point, or that you, or
To get to which point?
to become
To do
Koji,
this?
like,
Yeah. Well, I think what we've been saying is that there hasn't really been a codified process. At least that's been my experience. And it for me, and because I did it before Jikie did, for neither here nor there, but just did. It's been very organic, and I don't know if at some point that would change. It could, I know the priest path is probably a little bit more specific. Maybe not.
There are specific things about it.
Yeah. Specific things about it. Okay, that works. There's specific things about it, but there's no codified process. I think that's a good answer. I don't know. Maybe Jikie has something else.
I mean, so far I can say we've all been disciples for a significant amount of time before becoming Koji. And I think because it's not like we've had this Koji path for 20 years and people have gradually, it's like when it started, a number of us in a couple of stages took that ordination who had all been practicing here for a very long time. So what does that look like going forward now that this is an established path that people can see and think, ooh, maybe I want to do that? I'm not sure what that would look like, but it definitely is, it's by the invitation of Hojo-san. So I would say it would start with expressing interest to him and see what he said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jikie?
Yeah.
I think, and Anya, well, I have some Jikie and Anya. Very- I think I just mentioned because you have spoken to the fact that a layperson can become this Koji position. And I think when we were talking about what is the Koji and what are the steps to being a Koji, one of the things that I think we all wonder is like, how do we as lay people get to uphold the Dharma and communicate that piece of Zen that's very difficult, right? It's almost like, I always think of that, I think it's one of those stories where you're hanging on the cliff, you know? And we're all trying to say it, and you're saying, you know, part of that is like you guys have both spoken to the unfolding that you're going through in this Koji position, and I think we're all talking about like not only the steps to become Kojis, but the steps to try and find that unfolding as well. So if you guys might speak to that.
Yeah.
I think, well, I guess I'm just going to kind of start thinking out loud. There are so many ways to express the Dharma. There are so many ways to spread it. There are so many ways to hold it. And I guess what I want is, it kind of gets back to what we've been talking about a little bit, unless I'm not quite hearing your question, but you know, you don't have to be a priest. You don't have to become a Koji or a disciple or any of that. And, you know, I think the other thing is that, you know, in some ways, I'm not different from you. You know, I have this on, but I'm a practitioner on the way just like you are. You know, and so, you know, I don't need to be held in a particular way that's different or that's special. I mean, I've taken on some certain responsibilities that maybe others of you don't want to take on, and that's totally fine. But, you know, I welcome the opportunity for discussion and connection with anyone, you know, and how to support you in what your expression of the Dharma might be.
So my question on you,
Yeah.
I might expand on it a
Okay.
little bit and say, like, as you've been studying and learning, has it become more clear to you that there's different paths in the Dharma, different expressions, or has it become more like you found there's one more like a central, I don't know, does
Yeah.
that make sense? Like,
I mean,
is
I guess,
there-
yeah.
What is it?
I guess for me, I found that the Koji path is what is working for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that that's the path that I decided I wanted to embark on and continue to unfold. But I don't. I think the path is taking refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, and that's where we start. And how that unfolds for you will look different, and it's not any less valid. And maybe Jikie could say some more about that. But
When I think about how that has been in my life over the years, as you know, what is it to unfold the Dharma in my life, wherever that is and whatever that looks like, is whatever practices and teachings like really catch you, to just let those take up a central place in your life, right? We're a Zen temple, so we're talking about Zazen a lot of the time, right? But it's not just that, right? Does that practice of generosity or of compassion or forbearance really, you know, working with the paramitas or the precepts really grab you? Then just really let that be the center of whatever's happening and see what unfolds. Something that Hojo-san said to me a long time ago was to ask myself, what is the deepest desire of your heart? And then why? And to keep interrogating that why. Why is this important to me? Why, you know, you could also say, what is important to me? How do I want to burn up my life? Whatever that question is, right? But why? And that will keep taking you down to like a deeper level of what is my orientation in the world. And then that will unfold in whatever the circumstances of my life are. You know, you will start to see it everywhere. And then, you know, and then as far as how do you want to be in this temple community, you know, you'll look around and see what options there are and what aligns with that orientation for you and what doesn't.
question. What happens at 5:45 in the morning?
Zazen.
Zazen.
For how long, and what do you do there?
What do you do? I mean, I get here about 10 minutes to 5. I go upstairs and put on my robes, and I come back downstairs and I sit for 40 minutes. And they're with others who are here, and then we chant the robe verse. We put these on, and then we do some walking meditation, and then there's another round at 6 o'clock. So for 40 minutes, and then we have a chanting service. That's pretty much what happens. It's not a whole lot different than what happens here, just expanded. Yeah. The gate out there opens at 5:45 or so, right?
4:45.
Well, excuse me, 4:45. Yes, excuse me. Thank you. Yeah. What does that mean?
Just for anybody who doesn't know, if you look on the website, the daily schedule is there.
Yeah.
And you can plug into any parts of that. So there are people who come and sit only for that first period, and then they leave at walking meditation. There are people, I come during walking meditation and sit the second period of Zazen. There are people who just sit Zazen and then leave before the chanting service because they've got to go to work or whatever. There are people who've been practicing almost every day at this temple for years that you've never seen if you only come on Sundays, because they only come to Zazen in the mornings. They don't come to anything else. And so any point of transition, you can slide in and out. And in the mornings, it's very silent, very dark, very quiet. It might feel a little intimidating, but it's the same people who are here on Sundays who will help you figure out what to do.
The other morning at 5 o'clock, somebody was using a leaf blower in the neighborhood. I'm like, what is this? I'm like,
It is quite interesting as you start to see this whole other kind of group of activities that happen at 4 a.m.
I'm like, if I were that guy's neighbor or that person's neighbor, I'd be like, what? I was like, I can't believe I'm hearing a leaf blower. Anyway.
I was wondering if you could each speak about the decision to not make the decision to become priests.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel often like spending a lot of time out there in that crazy world outside of this nice space. There's often almost a temptation to take refuge in just soaking in the forms here. So could you talk about that?
You know, it's something I've wrestled with, honestly. It just, I don't know. I mean, my path just started out very different. I was in my late 30s when I started practice. I was a single parent. I had 2 young children. It took me 2 years to sew my first rakusu, not because I couldn't sew, but because I had kids. I think, so that would have been like 1994. I think my son was like 5 and my daughter was 10, something like that, So, that was kind of a big piece of it initially. And I had, I worked full time until this past July. So I think that's one side of it. But I guess I really had to think personally, if I were to ordain as a priest, would that change my practice? Would that be any different than what I'm already doing? And I think it's all mixed up in things like I'm thinking, okay, I'm 68 years old. What would it be to ordain as a priest at this point in my life? And I thought about I'm thinking practical things like, would that mean, you're going to send this old lady to Japan for 2 years? I don't know, So, and I think where it comes down to is, I think this is where I fit right now. If that's about the best answer I can give. So thank you.
Yeah, similarly. My first child was born when I was 18, so there was never really a question that I would be able to do that. And although I really wanted to when I first encountered the Dharma, but I would say some of that is because of a little bit of escapism, right? I kind of had the idea that I would get away from the craziness of life, which, having lived in not monastic situations but kind of similar structures, I can easily say the craziness of life just follows you wherever you go. I also kind of had this idea that it would make me into something different, right, if I took that path. So I think it's really healthy for me that I wasn't able to. I mean, I guess I would have figured out that was wrong really fast, and then what do you do with it? But, you know, so that just wasn't the shape of my life. And how how much I've been a part of this practice daily at the temple has varied widely over the years because of what else was going on in my life. And there was times when here I was a lot and was doing practice roles, and then there's plenty of people who've been here for years who've never seen that part of me because it was so long ago, because then I was mostly gone for a long time, and then I'm back. And after my husband died, I had to ask that question again, like, my kids are grown, I'm not married, should I ordain? And is it realistic that I would go live in a monastery in Japan at this point in my life, and with food allergies and
Yeah, I know.
and
same.
I still think for me, it would be trying to make myself into something. And it's been really central to my development to not be able to do that. So that was important for me.
Yeah, thank you.
My question's more broadly about Buddha. I'm curious how are decisions made typically, and which ones are consensus based and which ones are more just Hojo-san.
You're on the board. You probably. Yeah.
So it depends on what kind of decision we're making. There is a very formal decision-making structure, which is getting more delineated all the time. But basically, there's the board of directors, and there's Hojo-san, right, and priests, and anything to do with training, the expression of the teachings, that kind of path is Hojo-san's decision. That's his job, right? Things that have to do with legal stuff, questions about ethics, day-to-day organization of things are going to go through the board. And now there's, and under that, there's the sustainability team that makes fundraising decisions and things like that, and the programming committee, which is under Hojo-san and the board, right? And they report back. And now also the stewardship council is taking on a more of independent responsibility of their own around kind of sangha care things. Within the board, decisions are made on a kind of modified consensus basis. There is a protocol for if we didn't have consensus, but that doesn't ever happen. It's a really functional board. It's pretty awesome. And those are the levels where decisions are made. Hojo-san makes it. He might consult with lots of people, but it's ultimately his decision on anything to do with how the teachings unfold in the temple, and the board makes decisions for other things, and we mostly function on consensus.
Thank you.
Yeah. This is for both of you. I wonder, do you ever like deal with or experience like imposter syndrome? Because sometimes, as a teacher, when I teach littles, sometimes they'll ask me a question, and I'm kind of just like, yeah, I know the answer to that, and it's just like I don't know the answer. Do you ever have any of that internal struggle of like, oh wait, like should I be the one answering this question? Should I be the one doing this? Or like just like that feeling that can sometimes like come from like, do I have like the confidence to keep carrying this forward?
Mm-hmm. I could say sure, I struggle with that in certain ways. I mean, I'm human, you know. I mean, I think imposter, I don't think I would necessarily say that, but you know, I do, and I do try to be very transparent. If I don't know something, I just say I don't know. But I do wonder sometimes I just be honest. I do wonder sometimes if I'm making any sense. Let's just put it that way. Like, are people getting it? I don't know. Am I saying what I need to say? Am I saying it? Am I saying enough? I mean, I'm teaching this class on the Enmeijuku Kanongyo, and I'm like, how did it go last week? I have no idea, and so it's okay. I don't need to know, but it's just kind of like, I mean, I know some of you are in the class. I'm like, who's going to show up on Tuesday? What's that going to mean? And so all these kind of things, and so I think I just, there's always this. In our culture, we do value that person who's kind of the authority, and I feel like I want to take it. I try to make it more of an exploration with others in certain ways. I don't know that I could be a teacher like you are, especially with little kids. Trying to wrangle them into some kind of mode of paying attention. I don't know. I feel like I'm rambling a little bit, but I guess I just struggle with. Maybe I do struggle with confidence, and I just let myself struggle with confidence. I think that's probably the simplest answer. I just let myself struggle with it. I don't worry about it all that much. If that helps. Maybe I should worry about it more. I don't know.
I think exactly kind of what you said. Am I doing this in any way skillfully?
Yeah,
and
skillful
always realizing how much more like a strong feeling of like I need to do this better, right? But that doesn't come with it's not because I'm bad or an imposter, but because I just always want to be doing it better. But I think actually that's been a gift of this path, is the loss of that imposter syndrome. I mean, I absolutely relate to what you're talking about there, but it's not about me being anything.
Right.
And that really unfolds in a concrete way as you start taking on more, like even the kind of any practice role where we're doing this thing together, that starts to unfold. But the more you have to to be able to step onto the teaching seat, it very much has to be about, this is just about the Dharma unfolding, and can I meet people openly from that place? And I'm not going to be right. But that's okay, and it's not about me being anything special at all. It's about us all doing this together, and we all kind of take responsibility for different parts of it. And that's been a big gift of actually doing this.
Yeah, I'm just curious, there's so much stuff going on here that you're involved with in your current role, outside of, say, just this kind of ritual, community and religion and ritual and stuff beyond that. What kind of feels sweet to you right now? And oh yeah, I love this part. And then also what is grinding your gears right now in your current roles?
It was grinding my gears. I think it's. I guess for myself, I appreciate the opportunity in my life to be able to come every morning. I really do like that. It's feeling very sweet to me. I love the quiet, despite the, leaf blower guy. And I think learning something new, I just have been learning how to do doshi, and I haven't gotten it perfect yet, and maybe I never will. But and I've had to just kind of keep doing it, and oh yeah, bow here, oh right, that's right, and walk back to your seat this way, and walk, all that kind of stuff, all the little details, and the timing and all those things.
It's much more complicated in the morning.
It's really complicated. It's way more complicated in the morning. Just what do I do when? And, do I stay down here? And I forgot to sit up, all those kind of things. So I guess, but that's just been a recent gear grinding thing for me. I don't know, I was thinking about it in terms of posture, like we've been talking about on Thursday nights. And it's there is a way to sit that's a posture, but we also can't hold on to an idea of what that is. So you're kind of in this, so everybody's expression of posture is going to be a little bit different. And so even though there is a posture, I don't know if that makes any sense. And so I think this kind of grinding spot can kind of, part of it can be those points where I'm holding on to an idea of what something needs to look like, and how am I holding that, how am I trying to hold that ideal? That's not really the right word I want. How am I trying to hold that ideal without grasping or without clinging? And how am I trying to uphold the form in a way that feels authentic to me and doesn't look too clunky? I mean, I'm just, for an example, I can't sit on my knees during the whole morning service. So I have to sit on a bench. And so, which is fine, but I've been working with how to gracefully work with the bench without clanking it on the floor when I don't need it anymore, and how do I lift it up, and and all these kind of things. So those kinds of details are important, but at some point I just have to let them go too. So I hope hopefully that helps. I don't know.
Similarly, it's been fairly recent in my life that I can come every morning, and it's so sweet. It's definitely, I'm really enjoying that. And I think always what is kind of grinding for me is that there is only so much time in the world, and I would always like to be doing more in each part of my life. And it gets busy and I get tired, and that seems to be just how I am. I like having a full life, so it's full, and then one more extra thing happens and it's too full. And just like that's always how it is. So yeah, and how do I work with that with some ease and grace, and make sure that I'm showing up the way I said I would to all the parts of my life.
The way I said I would.
We probably have time for 2 more questions.
I was wondering about some icon poses, because I know you were talking about icons last week.
Icon poses?
Yeah, like the statues of Buddha and Prajnaparamita. There's just one I was wondering about, or two actually.
Go ahead.
There's one where Prajnaparamita does this, and then there's one where the Buddha does so like something like that, I think.
Yeah, I don't know all the mudras, do you?
I don't know all the mudras. I mean, I know that often when there's like one up and one down, that's a reference to heaven and earth and basically all things, right? But I don't know all the details of the iconography. Hojo-san's a good one for that.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. Yeah. There's so many. I mean, I think the canon that we have out there is, I mean, I forget.
That one does.
Yeah, that one's. Yeah,
some version says it. No, she does this one, right? Yeah.
I think that's no fear.
Yeah, I think it. Yeah. I mean, and I think the outpouring, the vase is like an expression of generosity. So the holding the vase is an expression of generosity. No fear. It's a perfect one for the entrance. To come into the temple, it's like, don't be afraid. We're generous with our with our time and resources. Yeah, I don't know if that helps you, KGN, but
that does.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyu and Jikie. Next week we have a festival, Feeding of the Hungry Ghost Festival, and I'm feeling very in the mood and excited about that practice. And I wonder, we've been doing that ritual together for a long time. And I wonder if you could share an important teaching or something that's you're enjoying or is igniting your heart with that practice of feeding the hungry ghosts. That's so important to this temple.
Yeah. I always resonated with the story of Enku and Ananda. I'm probably not going to say it exactly right, but Enku, as a hungry ghost, comes to Ananda in the middle of the night and says, "In 3 days you're going to die, or the next day you're going to die," something like that. You're going to die soon. And Ananda doesn't say, Whoa, dude, I am Ananda. You can't say that to me. I'm the Buddha's right-hand man, all that kind of thing. He just goes, "Oh, really? Yeah, what can I do?" And Enku says nothing. And so Ananda's rather disturbed by this, and he goes to the Buddha and says, this dude came to me, Enku, in the middle of the night and said I was going to die like in 3 days' time or something. What do I do? And this is where this practice comes. It's this practice of generosity, to feed these hungry ghosts. And I think there's so many ways to look at it. That there may literally be ghosts that we need to take care of. And our culture teaches us to fear them. But instead we can feed them and wish them to have enlightenment I mean, I think of you think of people who are deceased. We have them on our merit list, and we've had people on there that maybe many of us don't like or don't agree with, and yet we wish for them enlightenment and some kind of peace. So that's one piece, and then I think, as I recall, Enku is actually Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva of compassion. And so, I think, Enku's sort of, if you think about the different manifestations of Avalokiteshvara, some of them are sort of scowling and angry. Maybe Ananda just needed a nudge in a particular way to, even though, he was the Buddha's, reciter of the sutras, but he needed something to kind of light a fire. And so, Enku comes and it's like, he's like, wait a minute, how are you going to practice compassion for all beings? No one's left out. So I think, and also I just like chanting it. I like chanting all those the chants that are in, I don't know what language they're in. They're in a couple of different languages, some of them, but they sound like they are.
Yeah, that's those Dharani
Dharani
language. A poor pronunciation of a poor pronunciation of a poor pronunciation of a poor pronunciation of something that goes back originally to Pali or something like that, but now is what it is.
So I think that's what I can add.
So if Osagaki is new to you, I'm sure Hojo-san will give us a good telling of the story before we do the ritual next week. But the core of it is the feeding of the hungry ghosts, right? So if you look in the realms of Buddhism and Buddhist rebirth, right? There's hell realms at the bottom and hungry ghosts and humans. So hungry ghosts is like right next to the human realm, and the human realm is said to be marked by greed and practicality, right? That's the world that we live in. And the hungry ghosts are like one step down because all they've got is the greed, this like endless desire, and they can't do anything about it.
Right, they have like little teeny tiny throats and huge bellies.
Big, distended, malnourished bellies and tiny little throats, and they can't be nourished because anything they put in their mouth immediately turns to pus and fire. So what Ananda has to do is enact this ritual to feed all the hungry ghosts in the entire realm of hungry ghosts. So it's this unfolding of a ritual of like, how do we relieve that like endless unquenchable desire that can never be satisfied? How do we help ourselves and all other beings come to know enough, to know satisfaction? And one of the things that we chant, part of it is inviting in all spirits, demons, and wraiths from the barren wastes of all these beings. Like nothing is not included, and that includes like all beings out there in the world, including the ones that are pretty monstrous to me. And it's hard to imagine how they could be included in this deep mutuality and Buddha nature, and also all those parts of myself that I don't want to accept. And then we make this offering, and part of the chanting also is to call out the boundlessness of offering, right? That it's not like a big offering or a small offering or an offering that could possibly be what fills the need of the world, right? But it's just that unfolding of offering itself that is completely boundless. So those are the parts that jump out to me.
Question.
We probably have time for one more.
I wondered what you think in Zen practice could be the most useful to people who are not Buddhist in meeting their feelings of dissatisfaction and tension and wanting to feel better than they do. And how would you share that message with them without it being religious? Thank you.
Well, I think, God, that's a really hard one because we can't solve anything. I mean, as a chaplain, I was taught I can't fix anything. I can't fix your feelings. I mean, I guess maybe a backdoor way is to encourage people to allow themselves to feel what they're feeling, and not push it away, because the crux of suffering is clinging. I feel crappy. I don't want to feel crappy, and I'm stuck there. So let yourself feel crappy. Let yourself feel it. I mean, let it, because so many of these feelings are going to move through us. Yes, you're going to be sick, but in the hospital especially, people have all these things happen to them, and I can't fix any of it, and you know that too. People that come to with chronic illnesses and so on. But how do we release some of the suffering around it? And I think a lot of that is, trying to accept what is. I mean, there's a quotation by Suzuki Roshi. I may be mangling it, but help it, whatever it is, or this person, that person, to accept what is and help it become its best under those circumstances. What is the best? I remember reading about, what is the guy, Gulwal that guy. Yeah. So he talked about a doctor at the beginning of the book where, elderly people would come to him and have these various ailments. And he wouldn't really try to fix a lot of them. He'd be like, well, I'm thinking, he's thinking some of these things you're just going to die with them. You're not going to necessarily die from them, but you're going to die with them. So what can we do to help you be more comfortable? So a thing with elderly people, always sticks in my mind. A thing with elderly people is toenails. They don't have the physical facility necessarily to trim their toenails. So he recommends that these elder people see a podiatrist regularly to get their feet taken care of, so that they can walk a little bit without pain. Just some of these simple things like that. What can we do to make things more comfortable, but not necessarily solving anything? And I think because we're, Zazen is not a pill. We can't. It's not going to solve anything. In fact, I think I referenced this in my talk, where I think the reader board is still up at a Lutheran church near here, something along the lines of, the truth will set you free, but not before it makes you miserable. It's kind of like that, like the truth of whatever it is you've got going on, if you can, how do you accept that and weave it into, it's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy or perfect or that it works like, oh, fine, I'll just accept it. It doesn't work like that. But it's just kind of living into whatever is going on. I don't know if that helps you or not, but I think a big thing is like, let yourself feel your difficulty. It's okay. It's okay to feel crappy. Yeah. So.
And yes to all of that. And if I was going to add anything else, I would speak to point people towards the deep mutuality of being, like the interdependence of being, which, yes, that's a Buddhist teaching, but we can talk about that in really simple ways that people can just see practically in our lives, the way that we depend on each other, and the universal worth of all beings, right? As part of that, accepting how things actually are, right? So our suffering comes from railing against how things are, right? We want things to be permanent and fixed, and we don't like a lot of how we are, and that can be, I don't like a lot of how the outside world is, or I could be railing against how I am, usually some combination of all of those things. So a willingness to face up to things actually how they are, including that they are deeply mutually supportive and that you are fundamentally worthy regardless of who you are or the shape of your life.
Regardless of form or circumstance.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you everybody for coming out on this rainy, cold morning. And Hojo-san's not here. And,
he's in warm, sunny Hawaii.
And for a conference. And for being here with us.
Yeah, thank you. Buddha
Carrie and Mariah were your welcomers. Is that what they call them? Welcomers. Yeah.
Readers.
Oh yeah, Mariah and okay, yeah, I did it too. Sorry. Anyway, if you have questions about the temple or anything, if you're new, come ask one of us, and be happy to help you or point you in the right direction.
Quick announcement about generosity. Here at the temple, everything is provided free of charge, and we rely on people giving their time and finances. And there's places to give in the front entrance, or you can look on the website. If you can't give financially, there's ways to get involved. Come and talk to someone about that who looks like they might know. Thank you.